came back into the market in a very big way.
What we know now is Wall Street can bring down Main Street.
People are seeing this, and those memories of fear are coming back.
When you have a 401k or a 403b, those kinds of accounts, they are incredibly susceptible to downturns.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped more than 900 points. More than 900 points.
There are questions about how to best save for retirement.
Part of the problem is confusion.
Time keeps on slipping into the future.
The first rule in investment is don't lose. And the second rule in investment is don't forget the first rule. And that's all the rules there are.
When the market goes up, you go up. When the market goes down, you don't go down. Save Money Radio, your money safe and sound.
Welcome to Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole. Brad is a retirement and income specialist, primarily serving Springfield, but he's sought after nationally for his expertise in helping people secure their retirements. Mr. Pistole is a licensed life insurance professional in the states of Missouri, Arkansas, and Kansas, and he specializes in working with people who are near retirement and those who have already retired with wealth management, income planning, and asset protection strategies.
Save Money Radio, your money safe and sound.
And now, here to talk with you about securing your retirement, your host, Brad Pistole.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for another exciting episode of Safe Money Radio. We've been on the air for 15 years, and we love bringing key retirement planning information to you every single week. Now, if you're just joining us for the first time, you might be listening on the radio, you might be listening to the podcast, but from time to time, our shows are also on YouTube. When we have a guest on, a lot of times you're able to watch a video of our show. So today is one of those special days. So whether you're listening on the radio or you're listening to the podcast, you can go to YouTube and find this episode and watch it, because today we have a very special guest, a world-famous guest, Tom Hegna, on the show. Tom has joined us several times over the past few years, but this episode is taking place in early 2024. So before we jump into the episode and I have Tom on the show with us, I just want to tell you a little bit about Tom. I think a lot of times those of us who are in the financial world or in the financial industry, we throw out a lot of names, and they mean a lot to us, but they may not mean a lot to you. So, I've had guests on like Tom Hegna, Heather Schreiber, Dr. Wade Fowle, Dr. Michael Finca, Dr. Alex Margia, Ed Slott, just world-renowned economists, people with their PhDs, people who are experts in their field. But then I have to stop and realize that maybe this is your first time listening to the show and you've never heard of these people. So today I want to tell you about my good friend Tom Hegna that's about to join us. Tom is a world-renowned international economist. He's written 5 different books, including the best-selling book, Paychecks and Playchecks, Retirement Solutions for Life. Now, letting you know a little bit more about Tom, because the personal side is what should really resonate with a lot of you. Tom has been in the retirement planning industry for over 30 years. His passion and success for retirement planning and for public speaking have led him to be recognized as one of the top speakers in the world by the National Speakers Association. Tom served over 22 years in the U.S. Army and U.S. Army Reserve, retiring in 2006 as a lieutenant colonel with numerous awards and decorations. I have all of his books right here in front of me. I have Paychecks and Playchecks, Retirement Solutions for Life. That is one of the best retirement planning books of all time. I have also a copy of Don't Worry, Retire Happy, 7 Steps to Retirement Security, and I've done several shows about this book on this show. Tom's show, Don't Worry, Retire Happy, aired on PBS for several years. When he came out with the book, PBS approached him and said, hey, we've got to turn this into a show on PBS. And that show, Don't Worry, Retire Happy, has aired in over 80 million homes in the United States and Canada. So here's the exciting thing. As we jump into today's show, you're going to hear us talking about this. In early January of 2024, I flew to New York to be with Tom, to be a guest on a show that he's doing for Spotlight Television. And the episodes from that show are going to air on Fox Business. Now, my particular episode is already online on YouTube. You can go to YouTube and type in Brad Pistole, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It's episode 7. You can watch that full 24-minute interview, but it's also going to air on Fox Business in March of 2024. So there's going to be a lot of different ways for you to find this information. But here's the thing. On this new show that Tom is doing, that's going to have several segments air on Fox Business, he's going to be talking about a brand new book that he has, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And this is what's really cool about it. You know, in a lot of Tom's books and all of his public speaking engagements, he speaks all over, not just the country, he speaks all over the world. He'll often say, you know, these are not normal times. What's happened to Happily Ever After? And if you go look up Tom Hegna on YouTube, every single year, at the beginning of the year, he does an economic commentary. And we're going to be talking about that in our first segment today. He's going to talk about the overall state of the economy right now in 2024. What kind of things are going to be going on worldwide and how these things are impacting your plans for retirement. And so that's why he wanted to focus on a new book, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which really steps down and reaches out to people that are maybe your children and your grandchildren, trying to help them take their first steps toward a successful retirement plan. So there's just so much great information. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back right after this break with my good friend and world-renowned economist, Tom Hegna.
Is your money sitting on the sidelines in a CD, savings account, or money market account, earning less than it could? If you have your money in a bank, the value of your money is getting destroyed by inflation. Don't let low interest rates get you down. How would you like tax-deferred growth higher than what banks offer? Why let a bank pay you less when you can currently get 3-year and 5-year fixed annuity interest rates of almost 6% tax-deferred? Some fixed annuity contracts even let you access as much as 10% of your account balance surrender penalty-free. Call us now for your short-term money solutions at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. Fixed annuities are backed up by the claims-paying ability of the issuing life insurance company and are not FDIC insured. We have software to help you choose from hundreds of highly rated life insurance companies. Call us now at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. You're listening to Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole.
Thank you for tuning in to Safe Money Radio. I am Brad Pistole, a market risk mitigation specialist helping clients with retirement money preservation and income planning. You might be listening on the radio, but if you are, today's a day you're going to want to go to the podcast later, because today you can actually watch what we're doing on the podcast, and I have world-renowned economist and my good friend Tom Hegna on the show with us today. Tom, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Brad, great. I'm coming to you from the Phoenix, Arizona area today.
Fantastic. And I'm sure your weather's better than ours. Yesterday, after our victorious Super Bowl with the champs, it snowed on us unexpected, and we were closed yesterday. So I'm sure the weather's better out there where you are.
Yeah, it's going to be 70 and sunny here, but I was just up in Flagstaff over the weekend, and they had 3 feet of snow. So I mean, it's
wow.
Just crazy how the temperature's different in parts of Arizona.
Wow. Well, for all of you listening to us today, and I know we have people that listen all across the United States, here's the thing. If you've been living under a rock for the last 20 years, you may not know who Tom is, but I know most of you do. So I just want to share this. You know, Tom has been the best-selling author of Paychecks and Playchecks, Don't Worry, Retire Happy, 7 Steps to Retirement Security that we've been talking about on this show for many years. He has a brand new book out that we're going to be talking about all throughout the show today, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? So you have a very, very special treat having Tom with us on the show. And here's what I want to do, Tom. I know every year on YouTube and online, you always have your economic commentary at the beginning of the year, and it's watched by tens of thousands of people all across the country. Since we're here at the beginning of 2024, share with us just a little bit, kind of a brief summary of your 2024 economic commentary.
Yeah, I mean, you can find it, the whole thing on YouTube, but let me kind of summarize. I said, you know, this is a political year, and so everything, it's going to be a crazy year. You know, the country's very divided. It's going to continue to be divided. It's going to get worse than ever because you got both sides who say that if the other one wins, it's the end of democracy as we know it. And so that gives them, you know, in their minds, the moral right to literally do anything to the other person. And so you're just going to see some really nasty stuff, and everything's going to be looked at through a political lens. Even, you know, the Federal Reserve, the market's convinced they're going to be cutting. I've been consistent saying it's going to be higher for longer because he does not want to cut interest rates until he knows inflation is tamed. And right now, today, the numbers came out. They were hot. Food is up. Restaurants are up. Services are up. Rent and housing is up. And so he's not going to be cutting anytime soon. And so the market didn't like that. But, you know, inflation should moderate. I'm hoping it does. I'm hoping interest rates come down because the big problem is that we are now over $34 trillion in debt. That debt is climbing by about $5 to $6 billion every single morning. The interest on our debt this year is going to be more than our national defense budget. Think about that. More than what we pay for our Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Space Force. We're going to be paying in interest. It's just wasted money that we borrowed. It's like running up a credit card bill and having your credit card payment be more than your mortgage. It's unsustainable, Brad. And so that's really my message economically. And then as I looked around the world, there's trouble in Israel. There's trouble in Ukraine. And then with China, you know, China sees all of this stuff. Now, you know, Xi Jinping came to America. He met with President Biden. He said, I'm not going to take Taiwan. He met with all our billionaires, Zuckerberg and Bezos and Musk and all of them. He said, I need your business. I'm not going to take Taiwan. But every time he speaks publicly, he says he's going to take Taiwan. And Kyle Bass, who's a China expert, said, look, he's been saying for 10 years that he'll be a failure if he doesn't reunify China and Taiwan. We got the U.S. spread out in 2 wars. Many of our munitions are already gone. You know, in his words, we have the weakest leadership in a century. If they were ever going to take Taiwan, when would be a better time than 2024? And we got an election, we got wars, we got confusion.
Yeah.
We've been letting people in the border, millions and millions of people in the border. There's going to be terrorist cells here. I promise you, I spent 22 years military intelligence. There are terror cells now in this country, and China's been sending a lot of people over here. So I'm very concerned about that. But other than that, the world's going pretty good, Brad.
Yeah. And I hope you guys heard something there listening. Tom has a 22-year background in the military. And so this is not someone that just thinks this stuff up or it's just some fly-by-the-night opinion. This is a person who is entrenched in our nation's history and has served our country. And Tom, we thank you for that. And we thank you for sharing your expertise and your knowledge on this show with us. Tom's been a guest many times. And, you know, we've been together here twice in 2024 together at different events. And we're going to be talking about that. But if you're listening right now, I'll tell you, you've got a very special opportunity because Tom's brand new book, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which is just now hitting video and shelves all across the country, you can actually get a copy free by calling us. We've been partnered with Tom for a long time, and we'll give you a copy of his book. So whether or not you want to read Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or my book, Bulletproof, The Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan, which we're going to be talking about all these concepts in these books on today's show, you need to just give us a call. It's 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. And there's always someone standing by to take your call. So, Tom, you know, here we are in February of 2024. We've already been together twice this year. We were at a conference together in Colorado where you were one of the keynote speakers, and we actually were together in New York City to film a very special episode for Spotlight TV that's actually going to air on Fox Business regarding your new book, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? So tell all of our listeners, like, what was it that inspired this new book?
Well, Brad, I've spent my entire career helping baby boomers retire the optimal way. That's what all my other books are about. But this one's very different. This is for young people. It's for Generation X, Y, Z, millennials. See, I have 4 kids, and as I travel the country, I see young people doing some dumb things with their money. And what's interesting is they say Gen Z, the young ones now, are ahead of baby boomers in their savings. So they do want to become wealthy.
Yeah.
And what I've tried to do is just lay out some simple concepts on how to build wealth. And that's what this is. These are the same things I shared with my kids who are out there being successful. And I just think if people understood some basic things about wealth building, that I believe most every American could be a millionaire if they wanted to.
Absolutely. On the episode, which you guys can watch the interview with Tom and I, just go to YouTube, type in Brad Pistole, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And there's like a 24-minute interview between Tom and I where we're talking specifically about all the concepts in this book. But you can also call in any time and request a copy. And I'll say this, I'll piggyback on what Tom has said. My father was in this business for more than 50 years. I'm now in the business, which I didn't start till I was 36. I tell that story on our interview from New York together. And then now my son's in the business, and now I have grandchildren. So it is relatively easy to become a millionaire in this country. I did it, and I didn't start saving till I was 36 years old. And so to be able to do it and to be debt-free and to be financially independent, it can happen. All you have to do is set your mind to it. But now I look at it, and I look at all the things Tom talked about in the first segment with what's going on in our world, and I look at what it costs to just run through a drive-through when I'm like, hey, I'm going to go buy lunch for the office. What do y'all want? And it's $55 to get 3 meals, or 4 meals. So it's pretty crazy. And that was cheap food. So here's the thing. We want to share some concepts with you on this show, constantly on the show, even though we focus mainly on retirees and retirement planning like Tom has his entire career. We're now focusing a lot on younger people and children and grandchildren and what they need to be doing to set themselves up for the future. So if you would like to read a copy of Tom's brand new book, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, just give us a call. Our number is 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. And stay with us because now we're going to start digging into different concepts in the book. And we'll be right back after this break. Call us anytime at 866-780-7233. This is Brad Pistole, your host of Safe Money Radio. I'll be right back after this informative message.
Do you own an annuity? Do you understand what it does, how it works, and if it's right for your retirement plan? Some annuities have fees that might not be justified by their benefits. Some annuities are exposed to significant market risk. Worse yet, if an annuity was sold without proper planning, it can cause unintended consequences for your retirement. If you own an annuity, it's probably a good idea to find out more about how it works and if it's right for you. It's time to give Brad Pistole a call now at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. Brad will help you review the features and benefits of annuities you currently own without any obligation. Once again, you can call Brad now at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. Now back to more Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole.
Welcome back. I'm Brad Pistole, your host of Safe Money Radio. I am a capital preservation and strategic income planning specialist working with clients right here in Springfield and Ozark, Missouri. Now, friends, if you're just joining us, we're talking about world-renowned economist Tom Hegna's brand new book, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And you can read all kinds of stuff about this online. You can watch videos online. I know Tom's interviewed several people that's been on a show about this, but Tom, I want to talk about this. You know, you and I both love golf, and before this started, we were talking about you just got your first hole-in-one, so congratulations. And,
Thank you.
You know, in your book, you talk about the 3 phases of golf, which are all very, very important. You talk about the tee shot, you talk about the approach, and you talk about the putt. And you correlate those 3 phases in golf to investing, building wealth, protecting your wealth and distributing your wealth. So talk about that for all of our listeners today.
Yeah, so Brad, I spent my entire career on number 2 and number 3, protecting wealth and distributing wealth. And this was my first foray into building wealth, to help the younger people build wealth. So before you can protect it, before you can distribute it, you got to build it. And so this will help the young people. I think it will give them hope that they can retire. You know, people say, oh, this is the worst time ever for kids. They can't buy a house. They can't do this. Everything's so expensive. All of that is true. But that's why people got to take this seriously. See, I've told my kids this is their time. They're going to be able to excel because, see, I've taught them the secret to success. And I say the secret to success is this. When you get a job, I want you to go to work early, stay late, and always do more than you're paid to do. Now, some people say, why would you do something like that? Because you're going to become very valuable to that company. They're going to promote you faster and pay you more than your peers who come to work late, try to leave early, and do as little as possible for a paycheck. Now, Brad, when you and I were growing up, we kind of all got taught that. But I don't think most of the kids are learning that. I mean, they're learning about quiet quitting and all this other crazy stuff. But if they would, so if they take that attitude where they're going to come to work early, stay late, and always do more than what they're paid to do, they're going to be so much farther ahead than all the other kids that don't know that. And so these are just some of the little things in the book that I think can move the needle a lot.
Absolutely. And that's fantastic information, friends. I'll tell you this, I got my first copy and was on a plane, and it didn't take me long, but I've got it all marked up, I call it dog ear. I dog-eared so many different pages. I've already written 2 radio shows about the stuff that I read in the book, so I absolutely love it. If you would like to read a copy of Tom's brand new book, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, just give us a call. We'll give you a copy of his book. We'll give you a copy of my best-selling book, Bulletproof, The Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan. Our number is 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. And this would be perfect information for your children or your grandchildren. Just call us anytime and stay with us. We're going to be right back after the break to talk more about this book. Well, I must take a short break. This is Brad Pistole, and you're listening to Safe Money Radio. Let's pause for some exciting announcements.
Business owners, some of you have worked 20 and even 30 years to build your business. You're ready to sell this asset and go into retirement. You don't want to risk or lose any of your hard-earned money. Property owners, have you just sold your property and need to turn that money into lifetime income? How about 401k participants? Have you recently changed jobs or reached age 59 and a half and have a retirement account that you don't want to expose to market loss? If you have money you're counting on for retirement, we can ensure that you sleep at night with our income and wealth preservation planning. Don't gamble your life's work away if you are nearing or in retirement. Take some chips off the table and do something to take the stress out of retirement. Call 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. You're listening to Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole.
Welcome back. I'm Brad Pistole, your host of Safe Money Radio. I am a capital preservation and strategic income planning specialist working with clients right here in Springfield and Ozark, Missouri. Okay, Tom, you said something in Chapter 9 of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and it really caught my attention. And I already knew that I wanted to talk to you about it on today's show, but it really catches my attention because I had someone call in yesterday in their early 50s, and they were concerned about how they just hadn't made enough money in their account in the last couple of years, forgetting, of course, that in 2023 or 2022, the market dropped more than 20%. It was the 7th worst year in the history of the stock market, and so had their money been exposed to market fluctuation, they'd just now be back to where they were from all the losses and fees. But in Chapter 9 of your book, you say something, and I actually want to read it to our listeners, and I want you to talk about it. Here's what you say. You say, let me ask you a question. What would happen to your portfolio if this market went down and stayed down for 30 years? How would your retirement look then? My guess is it would not look too good. That's why we put guarantees into the mix. That's where variable annuities with guaranteed benefits or fixed indexed annuities work. You get some of the upside, but don't have to sweat over the downside. I personally love having equity exposure, but I don't like losing money. So I don't put a lot of money into the naked stock market. I put guarantees on my money. Tom, talk about that. Everyone may say, well, yeah, Brad, you're in your 50s and 60s. I get that, but I'm only 40 years old. Talk about that a little bit. Why is it important to have guarantees?
Well, when I was 40 years old, I made a couple dumb decisions and I lost a bunch of money. Okay, so I'm tired of losing money. So here's what I want with my money now. I want to make as much as I can make, but I don't want to lose what I've already got. And that's where I'm at right now. And so I still invest in the market, but I do it putting some guarantees on it. Now, there's different levels of guarantees. You can be in a variable annuity. Now, a variable annuity gets bad press because the fees are high. Right. But it can go up with the market. It can go down with the market. That's what a variable annuity does. But there are some guarantees you can put on there, either guaranteed income base or there's even guaranteed principal bases where if you put in $100,000, you're guaranteed 10 years later you won't have less than 100,000, but you get all the upside in between. There's registered index linked annuities. Those are RILAs. They're like a variable annuity that doesn't have fees, okay? And they don't completely protect your downside, but they can protect 10 or 20% of your downside and give you the unlimited upside. Yeah. For other people, they like the fixed indexed annuities. They give you some of the upside of the market, but they guarantee you will not lose. So you'll never see a minus sign on your statement, and that's very comforting to a lot of people. And then you have, fixed, just multi-year guarantee annuities. They're just fixed annuities. They're like the insurance company's version of a CD. They're not FDIC insured, but they're guaranteed, and the interest just grows every year. And then there's income annuities. But see, Brad, this is why I think it's so important to work with a financial professional like you, because the average person is going to sit there, okay, I don't know which annuity is best for me. I don't know but even BlackRock, and by the way, BlackRock has over $7 trillion in the stock market. They have more than Fidelity, more than Vanguard, and they say you should have an annuity in your portfolio, that your portfolio will do better if you do. And you can Google BlackRock annuities, white paper. There's a white paper out there. Ernst & Young and they don't sell any annuities. Ernst & Young is an accounting firm, and they were looking for the optimal retirement portfolio. And they found that the optimal portfolio had 30% permanent life insurance, 30% income annuity, and 40% investments. I mean, this is a top accounting firm. And so if you do read the research, and I know you've had Dr. Afau on your program, maybe you've had Dr. Michael Finca, but yes, if you do the research of the leading PhDs in the world, they are all unanimous. You've got to take longevity risk off the table. You've got to at least put, some guarantees in that portfolio. I own 13 annuities, so I don't understand why people are afraid of getting one. I mean, I have 13 of them, and they do really well for me.
Well, I'll say this, and I'll piggyback on that a little bit. We were together in January, and I was saying, hey, Tom, I just bought 2 more annuities this week. And you said, so did I. I've for years have been saying we own 11 and 5 annuities. Now, 13 and 7 annuities. There's a reason why. And yes, I've had Dr. Wade Pfau, Dr. Michael Finca on the show. Dr. Wade Pfau is going to be on 2 weeks from today again. The research doesn't lie, friends. It doesn't lie. Tom doesn't sell anything. He doesn't sell annuities, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. He does the research. He has the economic background to tell you need to have some guarantees in your portfolio. And I know this can be overwhelming, so I'll just say this quickly. Don't let your head spin with all the terms, because when it comes to annuities, and Tom's talked about this for years, like, I heard about those annuities. They're terrible. I don't ever want one of those. Well, here's the thing. That could have been a SPIA. It could have been a DIA. It could have been an FIA. It could have been a RILA. It could have been a variable. It could have been a MIGA. There's all these different types of annuities, and you can't lump them all into the same bucket. They all have different purposes. And that's why many years ago, I got my certified annuity specialist designation through the Institute of Business and Finance. I wanted to know these products inside and out. And so trust me on this, just about everyone who's in the finance world on every street corner wants to sell you an annuity. But have they done it very often? Maybe they've written 30 or 40 or 50. Friends, I've written over 1,500 annuities for my clients. And so make sure you're working with a certified annuity specialist who's also a certified financial fiduciary and a retirement income certified specialist. You want to make sure that they have the qualifications to help you get your retirement plan on down the road. So if you want to read more about this information, both my book and Tom's book is going to talk a lot about this. So call in anytime at 866-780-7233. Just request a copy of Tom's book, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Request a copy of my book, Bulletproof, The Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan. We'll give them to you absolutely free. 866-780-7233. Since I have to take a break, now would be a great time to call me for a complimentary copy of my best-selling book, Bulletproof, The Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan. And I'll also give you a copy of my Safe Money Kit. My number is 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. Isn't it time to stop exposing your retirement to market risk? You're listening to Safe Money Radio with Brad Pistole.
Do you own an annuity? Do you understand what it does, how it works, and if it's right for your retirement plan? Some annuities have fees that might not be justified by their benefits. Some annuities are exposed to significant market risk. Worse yet, if an annuity was sold without proper planning, it can cause unintended consequences for your retirement. If you own an annuity, it's probably a good idea to find out more about how it works and if it's right for you. It's time to give Brad Pistole a call now at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. Brad will help you review the features and benefits of annuities you currently own without any obligation. Once again, you can call Brad now at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. You're listening to Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole.
Thank you for tuning in to Safe Money Radio. I am Brad Pistole, a market risk mitigation specialist helping clients with retirement money preservation and income planning. Okay, Tom, now we're digging into your book, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And I know you've interviewed a lot of people and had them on your show, and people can go online to YouTube and watch different videos about different segments. But I want to say this. You shared with us a little bit about at the beginning about the 2024 commentary and what's going on in the world right now. And so you say this in chapter 10, simple and to the point. Taxes are headed higher, period. Why is it that you think taxes are headed up?
Well, it's not a political question. It's not a question of Democrats or Republicans. This is a math problem, okay? We need a math party. We need a party that can actually add and subtract, because I told you we're $34 trillion in debt, adding another trillion about every 4 months now. I mean, this is insane. And the amount of taxes that are going to have to go up, it's going to be staggering, you know. So what I've been doing is I've been converting almost all of my IRAs and 401ks to Roth. I'm saving some because there's charitable gifting. I can use them for in a few years when I get a little older. I can give that money away and nobody will have to pay tax on it. So I'm saving some of it for charitable situation, but I'm converting most of it to give me tax-free income. By the way, most of those are in income annuities, so I'll get tax-free income for the rest of my life.
Very good.
I've been moving more of my personal wealth to cash value life insurance. My annual life insurance premium is $226,000. Now, when somebody thinks that, they think, why would anybody want to do something stupid like that? Why would they want to pay that much? I'm not paying. I'm putting it into my account. All that money is in there plus more. It's been growing and growing and growing. And I tell this to people, if you want to have a lot of tax-free income in retirement, you got to put some money in there. $1,000 a year it's not going to get you your retirement that you want. You got to put some money in there if you want to get all that money out tax-free in the future, and that's what I'm doing. So I would encourage people to listen to you, because I know you've been preaching this for years, that you want to have tax-free income in retirement.
Friends, I put almost $10,000 a month into various life insurance policies. I own 8. I did own 10. I owned policies on my father, and my father passed away. But I also own a policy on my mother. I own a second to die on my mother and father. I own policies on myself. I own policies on my children. And so let's talk about that for a minute. With the fact that taxes are going to go up, $34 trillion in debt. Where is it that life insurance comes into play? Because I know so many people will say, Tom, well, I don't need life insurance. I'm worth $1 million. I'm worth $10 million. Why would I ever need that? What a waste of money. What do you say to someone? I know you've used so many great examples in your past sharing with people, but when someone's hung up on the fact that life insurance is a cost, I know Ed Slott says life insurance doesn't cost, it pays. Talk about for a minute why life insurance is such a valuable part of someone's financial plan.
Well, what convinced me, I'll just go off a tangent a little bit. When I was a captain in the Army, there was a MetLife agent going through my unit selling whole life insurance to my soldiers. And at the time, I didn't believe in whole life. I believed in buy term and invest the difference. I said, who's this guy out there ripping off my soldiers? I said, bring him to me. And they said, sir, he'll meet with you, but he wants your birth date. I said, give him my birth date. I want to see him in my office. He comes in my office, and I said, what are you doing ripping off my soldiers, selling this rip-off life insurance? He says, no, I'm protecting their families, protecting their insurability, helping them save for a down payment on first house, their kids' college, tax-free income and retirement. And your soldiers are nice enough to give me your birth date, so I ran a printout for you. And I'm looking at this thing. Now, this is 30 years ago. This was before the 7-pay test. This was a 5-pay whole life. And I looked at this thing, and I said, okay, pay for 5 years, and in the 6th year, all my cash is there, and my cash value grows, my death benefit grows, I flip, no more premiums. I said, why would anybody buy term insurance when you could buy this? The guy said, I don't sell much term. That's what I sell. I said, you get paid to sell this? He said, I get paid a lot to sell that. I said, I could sell that. And that's what got me in. So if there's somebody out there who thinks that life insurance is a cost, ask Brad to run you a 10-pay illustration, a 10-pay life where you pay for 10 years, never have to pay again, and just watch what happens, all right? It's not a cost. It's an asset on my balance sheet. One of the top producers at another company called life insurance a bond with a bump, because it basically pays you what a bond pays you. 4 to 6% is basically what they set up to average. Some do more, some do less, but let's say 4 to 6 is pretty average. But then you also have the death benefit that goes tax-free to your family. That's right. You can take the money out. You can withdraw it or you can borrow it. I mean, you've got so many options.
Well, I want to share this one line. You said this at the conference in December. I wrote it down. I know I've heard this before, but you said it so beautifully. You say, don't leave your children your assets, your IRAs, your 401ks. And so many people are like, well, but I want to leave this IRA to my kids. You say, don't leave your children your assets. You need to spend your assets and leave your heirs life insurance. What's the difference between an asset and life insurance, Tom?
Well, IRA and 401k money is the absolute worst money to leave your kids. You're not doing them a favor by leaving your IRA or 401k. They won't get anywhere near 50 cents on the dollar. Leave them a life insurance policy. Turn your 401k or IRA into an income annuity that can pay the premiums on a 10-pay life insurance policy that goes tax-free to your kids. I mean, that's what we did. We got 4 kids. My wife was saying, how much we leave the kids? I said, I was asking her, and she said, I don't know. What do you think? I said, well, if we bought a $1 million second to die life insurance policy, name the 4 kids a beneficiary, when we're both gone, they're going to get $1 million tax-free. That's $250,000 apiece. So we did that. You know what the total cost of that $1 million policy was? $150,000. So for 15 cents on the dollar, we get to leave our kids $1 million tax-free. But the best part is, who gets to spend the other $850,000? We do.
That's so good.
We do.
So good.
Spend your money, leave your kids life insurance. You can do that for pennies on the dollar.
Friends, that's the whole premise for my book, Bulletproof, the Safe and Secure Retirement Income Plan, because as many of you know that have listened to me, I had a brain tumor. Can still barely see the scar, but in 1999, I had a massive benign meningioma brain tumor. I was uninsurable for many years, but here's the whole thing. You have a tumor in your retirement account. It's a tax tumor, and that's going to come back out at some point, either when you hit required minimum distribution age or when you die and leave it to a spouse, or more importantly, when you die and leave it to your children and you think they're going to get your money. They're not getting your money. Uncle Sam's going to get your money, and the state you live in, and except for very few, is going to get part of the money too. We're trying to get you to spend down those assets, or even better, give it to charitable organizations through a QCD, and then leave life insurance to your heirs. Spend your own money and leave life insurance. So such critical information, and this is all covered in Tom's new book, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? If you'd like to read a copy, just give us a call anytime, 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. And like I've said, you can go on YouTube, Just type in Brad Pistole, Tom Hegna, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You can watch us talk about this. So, friends, we've got one more segment that I want to do with Tom on the show today, and I'm so grateful for you being on with us, Tom. It's always a pleasure to have you. You said something in your book that it really hit me, made me think through a lot of things, and I've already written a radio show about it. So I want to read the quote, and I want you to talk about it for a minute. You said this: marriage is hard. Divorce is hard. Choose your hard. Obesity is hard. Being fit is hard. Choose your hard. Being in debt is hard. Being financially disciplined is hard. Choose your hard. Talk about that for a minute, Tom.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, life is hard, but we get to choose our hard. You know, you can either work on your marriage, which is hard, or you can walk away from your marriage and suffer the financial consequences, which is hard. And so, you know, we each have to choose how we're going to do things. And I just think, you know, younger people, if they realize how much fun retirement can be. My wife and I are going on a cruise. We went on a 40-year cruise from Barcelona to Athens. It was an unbelievable trip. I now have membership at 2 golf clubs. I couldn't justify doing it when I was working because I was on the road 200 days a year. Now I got 2 memberships. It works out just fine because if you play golf 4 to 5 days a week, it's a great deal. In fact, it's an incredible deal. It's only when you golf once or twice a month that it's not a great deal. And so, by being disciplined when I was young, my younger self took care of my older self. And what I try to tell young people is the only person that will take care of your older self is your younger self. Be good to your older self. Delay some gratification. You don't need to buy brand new cars. You don't need to buy brand new stuff all the time. You buy a lot of stuff you don't need. There's so much wasted money. You know, I walk through an airport. Gummy bears are $5-6. You can buy the exact same package at the dollar store for $1.25. You know, just be prepared. You know, think ahead, and you don't have to waste so much money. And those are just some of the simple techniques I'm trying to help people in this book.
Friends, it's so good. The information's so good. Listen, so many people today say, well, there's no way I could save 20% of my paycheck, because we talk about this all the time. The keys to those of us who are millionaires, who are debt-free, we have friends that were millionaires who taught us how to do it. We followed their pattern, and that we were very charitable, very giving. We saved 20 to 30% of our paychecks, and someone says, there's no way I can do that. That's too hard. I'll tell you what's hard, not doing it. Get to retirement when you haven't saved that. That will be hard, so choose your hard. That's just such great information. Tom, I want to leave one thing with all of our listeners today. You said something in the book, and it makes a lot of sense, but I want you to explain it because you can qualify it. You said that you wrote a chapter actually about advisors who get it, and you talked about why it's very important to choose who it is that gives you financial advice. Why is it? Why is that?
Because you want to find somebody who is a specialist in your time of life. So if you're going into retirement, you need somebody who's been trained on retirement, because the retirement financial picture is much different than when you're building wealth. Building wealth, and people say, oh, I'm a fiduciary. Well, they might be an investment fiduciary. That doesn't mean they're going to be a retirement fiduciary. They don't use guaranteed products. They don't use these things. And so they're really not acting in your best interest. So somebody like you, Brad, who's been trained in both the wealth building side and the retirement side, that you have all the tools in your toolbox. You don't say, oh, I'm not going to use that, or I'm not going to use that. No, all the tools are there. And based on a person's situation, you're going to pull the right tools out to help them attain what they want to do. And not all fiduciaries do that. See, all fiduciaries are not created the same. It took me a while to figure this out, because I said, how can they be a fiduciary and not talk about long-term care, or not talk about a person dying and leaving a legacy, or not talking about guaranteed income? That's not in the client's best interest. Well, they're an investment fiduciary. Right. They're not a retirement. I didn't know there was all these different fiduciaries, but that's the way it is. And so that's why somebody like you is so valuable there down in Springfield, and people should be taking advantage of your services because you're honest, you're ethical, you do things the right way, and to me, that's just as important as what product to put my money in.
Tom, thank you. I appreciate that so much. You know, this weekend I turned the television on Saturday morning. I saw this radio program, and anyone can pay to advertise on the radio, on TV. Tom, you know this. Just because you hear someone on TV or radio does not mean what they're saying is true. There's a motivation and an agenda behind it. And I heard them talk about the type of fiduciary they were, and they said, oh, yeah, years ago we used to be on the commission side and we sold commission products, but not anymore. We determined we could not be a good fiduciary if we sold commission products, so we don't do that anymore. there are a lot of great commission products that are a fantastic fit in someone's portfolio. Everything doesn't need to be in that, but some of it does. Annuities are commission products. Life insurance are commission products. But here at our firm, I had my father here for many years, myself, my son. My son and I are both retirement income certified professionals through the American College of Financial Services. And we have trained ourselves on all aspects of things. So whether that's stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities, life insurance, reverse mortgages, everything under the sun, we've done the training. Make sure you're talking to someone who is a retirement income certified professional who can truly give you the advice that that you need for your retirement. So friends, if you've been listening today and you want more information about this, I have a Tom Hegna library here at my office. I have Paychecks and Playchecks. I have Don't Worry, Retire Happy. I have Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Just call us, request a free financial consultation. When you come in and meet with us, we will not charge you fees. We'll give you a copy of anything you would like to read. We want you to be educated and informed about the type of accounts and tax law and things that you need to make sure that you have a retirement that lasts the rest of your life. Our number is 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. Call us anytime and ask for our free information. And Tom, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you, Brad. It's always great spending time with you.
Well, I must take a short break. This is Brad Pistole, and you're listening to Safe Money Radio. Let's pause for some exciting announcements.
Are you concerned about long-term care? You're also probably concerned about paying the high cost of long-term care coverage and increasing rates. Some long-term care rates have increased by as much as 40%. Thanks to recent changes made by Congress, you may be able to use non-qualified tax-deferred retirement money to pay for your long-term care tax-free. Some hybrid long-term care annuities or life insurance solutions can even double or triple your funds available for care. If you have non-critical health issues, you should still call us. Some insurance products have simplified underwriting, and a simple telephone interview will determine your qualification. Call us now if you want information on this opportunity to use tax-free money to pay for your long-term care. Our phone number is 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233. You're listening to Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole.
Welcome back to Safe Money Radio. I'm Brad Pistole, a certified financial fiduciary and a safe money retirement specialist. Well, friends, thank you so much for joining us today for another episode of Safe Money Radio. I'm so grateful to be able to bring people like world-renowned economist Tom Hegna to you on this show. We've been hosting Safe Money Radio for 15 years. It is the longest-running financial planning show in the Ozarks. And we are super blessed to be connected to the people that we are who are experts in the world of retirement income planning. I'm grateful to have them on the show. I'm so thankful to have had Tom with us today, and I hope that something he said blessed you. And as we close today, I just want to share a few thoughts, things that Tom has shared over the years with his listeners. And just remember, when Tom was working full-time, he spoke 240 days a year across the country and across the world. That's 240 out of 365 days a year. He literally lived out of hotel rooms. And now that he's semi-retired, I jokingly tease him about how he says he's semi-retired, but he's still traveling like 175 to 200 days a year. He is still one of the most sought-after public speakers all across the world. 22 years in the military. He knows our country and our economy inside and out. And as we close today, I just want to share some thoughts with you. He's had so many different great best-selling books, Paychecks and Playchecks, Don't Worry, Retire Happy, his newest book, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, And if you missed one of the early segments from today, just remember, you can always go to YouTube and you can watch 2 different interviews that I've done with Tom regarding his new book, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You can watch this one that's taking place today. That's actually a YouTube video that I did having Tom on where you can watch this. But I also did an in-person interview with Tom in New York City. That happened in early January for an episode of Spotlight TV that is going to air and probably has already aired by the time you listen to this on Fox Business. If you just go to YouTube and type in Brad Pistole, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, it's episode 7. And Tom and I sat down together for 24 minutes. We talk about all the different things that are going on in this country, what kind of things are going on in the economy, what kind of things are going to affect your children and your grandchildren. And that's really the focus of the new book that Tom's written, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You know, he's done 5,000 seminars all across 50 states. And he is wanting to teach retirees the information that they need to pass on to their children and grandchildren who are growing up in a very challenging time. You know, I think every generation probably says, oh, well, you should have had to have grown up when I was a kid. We walked uphill to school both ways in 6 inches of snow. And we all think that way. But truly, right now, the world we're living in right now in 2024 is unprecedented times. We've never seen anything like this. And that's why Tom Hegna will say, he will say this often, the success of your retirement is not about your assets. Your assets can be lost. They can be stolen. They can be swindled. They can be sued. They can be divorced. They can be decimated in a market crash. And then he will go on to say, the ultimate success of every single retirement plan is going to depend on the answers to these 2 questions. How much guaranteed lifetime income do you have? And have you taken the key retirement risks off the table? What are these key retirement risks? Well, that's things like stock market risk, the order of return, also known as sequence of returns risk, which we talk about on this show all the time. Things like inflation, things like longevity risk, and things like long-term care. Friends, I need you to ask yourself this today as we close. How much guaranteed lifetime income do you have? Contractually guaranteed to pay you for the rest of your life. Does your brokerage account offer you that? I can tell you it doesn't. Brokerage accounts don't offer guaranteed lifetime income. Does your CD offer you that? I can tell you they don't. CDs don't offer guaranteed lifetime income. The only type of things that offer guaranteed lifetime income are things like Social Security, pensions, and annuities from life insurance companies. And guess what? All 3 of those, Social Security, pensions, and annuities, they're all annuities. How much guaranteed lifetime income do you have, and have you met with a qualified financial professional who has helped you take the key retirement risks off the table? Friends, make sure you're working with a qualified retirement income certified professional. You can call us anytime at 866-780-7233. We will be glad to give you a free financial consultation and help you take the steps to move in the direction of security and peace of mind. Well, I'm about out of time, and I would like to thank you for listening to Safe Money Radio. If you're serious about your financial future, give me a call, and together we'll get your retirement savings on the fast track to accumulation while reducing exposure to market losses. Thanks for listening, and until next time at the same time, I'm Brad Pistole, reminding you to stay safe so you can step into a secure future.
Safe Money Radio, your money safe and sound.
You've been listening to Safe Money Radio with your host, Brad Pistole. Find out how to contractually guarantee that your hard-earned money is safe while avoiding market loss so you can have the retirement that you deserve. Call Brad Pistole now for your complimentary Safe Money book and Safe Money information kit at 866-780-SAFE. That's 866-780-7233.
Safe Money Radio, your money safe and sound.
The preceding information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice. Surrender charges apply to base contracts. Optional lifetime income benefit riders are used to calculate lifetime payments only and are not available for cash surrender or in a death benefit unless specified in the annuity contract. Fees may apply. Guarantees are based on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the insurance company. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified and licensed professional. Obviously, by calling us now, you are just taking the first step towards protecting your retirement. It's important that you read all insurance contract disclosures carefully before making a purchase decision. Rates and returns mentioned on this program are subject to change without notice.